Niagara Escarpment is certainly the most prominent landscape feature of the Blue Mountain region in southern Ontario. Over 219 meters of vertical elevation defines the Blue Mountains. It's the backbone of Ontario's largest ski industry. The first skiers in the area would simply climb up and ski down the hills that were cleared for use as farm fields. In 1935, the Blue Mountain Ski Club was formed, chaired by John Smart, a local canning factory owner. The higher vertical slope and heavier snowfalls were of interest to the Toronto Ski Club. Club members arrived in 2 carloads for a ski day in the winter of 1935 to discover the snow-covered hills of Blue Mountain. This day trip led to the forming of the corporation named Blue Mountain Ski Club, Inc. in 1940, a 50-50 partnership between the Blue Mountain Ski Club and Toronto Ski Club. This allowed its members to have access to both sides of the escarpment. Additional lands were purchased in the south for $3,200, and it formed the area that is today known as Blue Mountain Resort. In 1938, Judy Winkels, an innkeeper, ski instructor, and mountain guide from Czechoslovakia, fled war-torn Europe with his young family to Canada.
My father had been a ski instructor and mountain guide and had his own chalet in the Slovak mountains.
Jozo met a man named Peter Campbell in Sainte Marguerite du Lac-Masson, Quebec. Peter Campbell was a prominent Canadian lawyer, senator, and businessman and would become Judy Weider's financial backer. Jozo moved to the Blue Mountains in the spring of 1941 to develop the ski area. That year, he founded Blue Mountains Resort Ltd. He would go on to take over operations from the Blue Mountain Ski Club and Toronto Ski Club and lease the club's land for 999 years.
With Senator Campbell's backing, Jozo bought farmland to the south of the original area and ended up with 700 acres of skiing terrain and trails. The original trails were pretty rough. A lot of the skiing was on farmers' fields. The trails were cut with axes. We had no chainsaws or bulldozers at the time, so they tended to be pretty rough. It was difficult to, at times, to get to Blue Mountain because of too much snow, and highways and roads were not the kind of access routes we have today. You could arrive by train, and many did in the 1940s, but then when you got here, you had to unload your gear and carry it 2 kilometers up to a log clubhouse at the foot of the resort. Or you could get, if you had 50 cents, you could pay one of the local farmers, and he would take you up there in a horse-drawn sled. The great revolution really was in snowmaking. So when we arrived, we were pretty helpless with the mild spells, but in the 1970s, we developed modern snowmaking systems and we invested millions in snowmaking, and the technology got better and better. It was computerized. You could produce some very wonderful, finely tuned snow, and in the end, we covered about 90% of the mountain with snowmaking.
Jozo was an innovator who had a legendary sense of enthusiasm. It was his original vision and hard work that made the ski resort at Blue Mountain the 3rd largest in Canada. The Blue Mountains is also home to several private ski clubs that line the escarpment.
But another part of the story is the incredible successes of some of our ski racers. So they were trained at the private clubs or on Blue Mountain, and then they went on to achieve international success. Winning the Hamann in Austria was really the counterpart to winning the Stanley Cup as far as the Europeans are concerned. And some of our racers from Blue Mountain became heroes in Europe. Steve Podborski won a bronze medal in the Olympics, and Todd Brooker won a series of World Cups. So the fact that these people were coached and trained here, I think, is a mark of how great our area has been.
Many Canadian Alpine, Olympic, and World Cup competitors came from the Blue Mountains area. New competitors train and develop in programs such as the National Ski Academy in Collingwood.
A new sport came along in 1980 that nobody could have foreseen, and that was snowboarding. So for decades, the mountain had been used just for skiing. And in recent times, there have been almost as many snowboarders or skiers.
Another legendary innovator who came to the area was Willie Winkles, a pioneer in snowboard and skateboard technology.
I started skiing when I was 9 years old at Beaver Valley. And I skied as a kid a little bit, and then once I got more involved and met Willie, he really got me into skiing, and then we got married and I became a ski instructor, and that's how my skiing career went. Well, Willie was my husband, and he was an inventor, and he started manufacturing skateboards, and in the early 70s, mid-70s, he took a skateboard and put it on one of these plastic forms that he had made up, and that really was what created the very first snowboard. He wanted to call it the ski board, but a patent wouldn't let him, so he said, okay, well, I'm going to call it a snowboard. And that's where the name came from, snowboard. So I would say that that was the very first snowboard ever made.
Willie rode and tested his early boards with his wife Judy at Blue Mountain Resort. Judy was the first female snowboarder in Canada and the world.
There I was in the magazine, and I told a little story about how I was the first woman to snowboard in Canada and I guess the world. Was not welcomed, and we did have to sneak around. We had to drive up the hill and ski down after hours or before the lifts opened. So we were kind of sneaky about it, but we were always like trying new places on the mountain that we could try it out and work on practicing using the board.
If you want me to be honest, like essentially snowboarding safe skiing. You know, back in the day you had these plank, straight edge boards, and all you could do on a ski was literally turn left and right, right? Well, you know, when snowboarding came about and kids started seeing that and the fun and the style and the rebellion surrounding it, a lot of kids shifted to snowboarding.
A lot of people didn't like it. A lot of people thought we were crazy. A lot of people weren't like, what are you doing? This is crazy, Willie. What is this thing? And other people thought it was great, but they didn't think it would go anywhere, and they didn't think this would make the grade anywhere, and look where it is today.
The pioneering spirit continues today with pro athlete and snowboard coach Jesse Fulton. Jesse trained numerous Canadian Olympians in the Blue Mountains through his freestyle coaching program known as Shreducation.
We ran our program out of there for 10 years. Right? They would hook up the coaches with passes. They saw the value of pumping these athletes out, you know, through Blue Mountain into the World Series Tour and you know, eventually into the Olympics. If you look at the amount of skiers, pro skiers and pro snowboarders that have come out of Blue Mountain, it's a huge percentage of Canada.
Today, new generations of Olympic and professional athletes train in the Blue Mountains.
That's why I moved back with my boys. It's like if I want to raise some kids in Ontario, I want to raise them here, because you know, you never appreciate it while you're here, and you know, or when you grow up here or born here and stuff like that, you always kind of want to get out and adventure. But then when you go see what's out there, you want to come back, and then you appreciate like how amazing this area is, right?
It's really hard to predict what lies ahead, but I'm sure that there will be some exciting and new improvements.
The pioneering and innovative spirit of the Blue Mountains is strong. Only the future will tell what lies ahead for Ontario's largest snow sports region.